Hi everyone, today we'll be sitting down with Gryphon Mining CEO Rob Chang. Rob co-founded Gryphon with the mission to create the world's largest fully integrated pure-play Bitcoin miner with zero carbon footprint. For those not familiar, Bitcoin is a type of digital currency using blockchain technology to support transactions between users on a decentralized network that can facilitate instant financial transactions without a third party. Let's hear more from Rob now. Hi Rob.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. So tell me a bit more about Gryphon.
Yeah, so Gryphon was started in late 2020 as a Bitcoin mining operation, of course, and we were private for about 3 years, and we just became public in February of this year. So at this point, about 5 months, almost exactly, actually. And I think we've done pretty well. And let me take a step back. I think it's best to describe the company based off of how we built it. So just talk a bit about my background. I was the first CFO for Riot Blockchain, which became Riot Platforms, of course, which is also the first publicly traded NASDAQ listed Bitcoin miner, and got to learn the space from there. And running Riot, and then later on moving on to also participating with Hive, for example, and a few other companies. What I realized is that there are certain things that a Bitcoin miner probably could do a little bit better that I was learning as I was going through those years. And so what happened was in, call it 2020 early, I ran into a group of people who wanted to start up a Bitcoin mining company as well. And they actually wanted to start it up exactly the way I wanted to as well. And so Gryphon was the result of that. And I got a chance to apply those learnings and those things that I want to do. And so from 2020 all the way to 2024, we've been one of the top producers in this space. And let me explain why. From a Bitcoin efficiency standpoint, which is probably the best metric when you look at a Bitcoin mining company, which is the number of Bitcoin divided by the hash rate. It's a very simple calculation, but basically what it shows you is how much Bitcoin you're actually making for the hash rate that you're deploying. The higher the number, the better. And so we have actually been number one outright for the large majority of our existence. And even now, 3 to 4 years in, we're still easily in the top half in terms of the publicly performing miners. So we're one of the most efficient, if not the most efficient Bitcoin miner around. Plus, we're also one of the lowest costs. Like we're in the first quarter of this year, we were solidly in the low 30,000s per Bitcoin, and Bitcoin has been trading anywhere between 50 to 70,000. So we've been doing quite well relative to most. So Gryphon's 4 years old, public since February of this year, and we're looking to grow pretty aggressively. And so hopefully be able to announce something soon about that.
Yeah, so everything's been going well since you went public.
I would say so. I would, of course, like to have done something a little earlier with respect to doing some growth plans, but I think a key thing to note is that growing for the sake of growing is not the right thing to do. You need to make the right calls. And I think saying no is something that's a lot more important than saying yes to something. And so we are looking to do something sooner rather than later. I would have loved to do it a little bit earlier, but I think our investors will be very happy once we start announcing what we're doing.
Yeah, of course. And like steady, consistent growth is really important instead of saying yes to everything and getting overwhelmed.
Yeah, and it's not really necessarily an overwhelming thing. It's just paying too much. I
Yeah.
think one of the biggest issues that I've seen in the Bitcoin mining space, and I've been doing this for about 6 years, is that many companies chase growth for the sake of growth. And when things go either sideways or negatively in terms of Bitcoin prices, they get caught with their pants down and they get into a lot of trouble. Gryphon has always sailed through, at least knock on wood, so far, even the downturns, because we have been very thoughtful in how we approach growth, and we always make sure that there is a lot of downside protection built into whatever we do. And so we're still doing that when we're looking at potential growth opportunities. And our peers might not be focused so much on that and really want to just get bigger faster and just hope it all works out. That's just not our way. We want to make sure that we're stable.
Yeah, for sure. And you guys are also into ESG mining?
We certainly are. So we are currently 100% carbon neutral, in fact, 100% renewable, which I think is pretty rare. We're pretty much the most pure form of renewable there is because we are 100% hydro. We are also third-party certified. Independent groups have taken a look and have certified us for our Scope 1 and Scope 2 emissions. So we're actually very clean, and we're all the way down to Scope 3 with respect to where we actually have carbon emissions. And even then, we have carbon offset credits to even offset that. So if you do the math a certain way, we're technically carbon negative, because if you use the credits on Scope 3 and 1 and 2 are already clear, we're actually technically going negative if we use the credits there. So Scope 3, for people who don't know, are things such as like when I travel or when machines are delivered to us. We're offsetting at that level. So we're going much deeper than I think most other companies are doing.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah,
And
thank
could you
you.
talk a bit more about Gryphon's operations and revenue, and what are your business targets?
Yeah, so we're tracking so far, and you can see this in our presentation, that our gross margins are tracking somewhere in the 20 millions range, depending on where people look, where people estimate the global network hash rate to be, and where our Bitcoin prices are going to be, and of course the global hash rate. And so around that, we're among the lowest cost guys, and I'm not going to forecast where our costs will be because you can't tell, quite frankly, because it's also fluctuating network hash rates and all that change it. But we were in the low 30,000s in the first quarter, and we believe we will track continuously among the lower cost producers around. So I think we're going to continue to do well because we haven't changed from how we're doing this. Like, if you look back, my past history was with Riot. My CFO Sim has been with Marathon, so we have a lot of operational expertise that we've been deploying. And because of that, you're seeing that we have some of the best uptimes, for example, relative to most miners. We're consistently above 99% uptime, if not close to 100. And so we operate as efficiently as possible, and I think that translates into our operations.
Yeah, that's great. And with the rush on Bitcoin, what would you say is your next Bitcoin price target?
Wow, it's great. Like it's not moving as quickly as I was thinking, although this is actually pretty standard. If you overlaid the price graph of where we are right now and you look at the past cycles, like in 2021 and in prior ones, it's looking very similar, where you get a little spike getting close to or around the halvening, and then it drops down like it inevitably does post halvening, and then at some point it just rocket ships. So we're thinking that's probably going to happen. And so I still believe that we're going to end the year at least at 150,000. So that's a solid double plus from where we are right now. I think even conservatively, 100,000 is definitely going to happen. We'll see. I could be wrong, but just looking at the way the price history goes, and if you even take a step back, like if you look at Bitcoin, the fact that the Bitcoin rewards have been cut in half, that means that means costs for miners have effectively doubled because we're making less, or we're making half on the same cost footprint. So if you think of it from a macroeconomics standpoint, for people who study that in school, you know that in perfectly competitive environments, the marginal cost and the marginal revenues usually intersect perfectly. So if that's the case, rewards get cut in half. That means the price would necessarily have to double in order for us to maintain the equilibrium that we were having then. So going into the halvening, we were anywhere between, call it, well, around here, 50 to 70,000. So in order for the same mining environment to sustain, assuming that it will, you would need to have $100,000 to $150,000 Bitcoin in order for the same mining operations to sustain. Now, that being said, this is designed to actually force innovation and enforce efficiencies, and we're going to see that. And we've seen some of the higher cost miners pull back. But I do believe fundamentally and structurally speaking, Bitcoin is designed for the price to double because of the dynamics I just mentioned.
Yeah, that sounds great, especially with that positive outlook for the future. Why would someone want to buy Gryphon right now?
Yeah, it's a great question, and what it is we believe in the execution. At the end of the day, when you buy any type of company, it's really management that separates you. And if you look at the history, the proof is already in the pudding. We have out operated most of our peers, if not all of our peers, from an operational standpoint. So if you're looking for a consistent company that will stay out of trouble, for example, because we keep low costs and keep our operations efficient, and have thoughtfully managed its way through downturns, and I've done through 2 or 3 cycles of this, Sim as well. And so I'd like to say know what we're doing, and we've grown the company in a very thoughtful and managed way. And now we are looking to grow, and we come from companies that have grown quite a lot and are actually the leaders in the space. So basically, this is almost an opportunity to be buying a Marathon or a Riot right when they started, because really it's the same guys doing the same thing all over again. We're kind of repeating the blueprint and improving on the things that we thought were mistakes before. So that's what we're doing, and we think we're going to offer a great opportunity for investors to do that.
Yeah, for sure. And you have a couple of conferences you're attending in the next couple months, I've heard, right?
Yeah, quite a few. So the big one, the granddaddy of them all, the Bitcoin conference, which usually is in Miami, will be in Nashville this year, and that's going to be in a couple of weeks. So we're looking forward to that. We'll be going to Pacific Bitcoin in LA in the fall. Before that, HC Wainwright has a conference, and LD Micro also has a conference as well. So those are the 4 that we currently have scheduled. There will probably more, and we'll probably be joining those and hoping to see our investors as we travel around.
Yeah. And do you have any other specific plans for the second half of the year we're approaching?
Yeah, well, I'm hopefully going to be able to announce a few growth announcements, and we're currently working on some, nothing concrete yet. So I'm not releasing anything that I shouldn't be talking about. We are circling on a few really good opportunities, and we're hoping to get some over the line and be able to announce some pretty exciting news. So hopefully we'll be able to do that in the second half of this year.
Yeah, that sounds really exciting. Well, thank you for taking the time today, Rob.
Well, thanks for having me. It's been fun.